Unlike the furry animal it's named after, Fiat's Panda is pretty resilient. It's entering into its 32nd year, and yet this is only the third all-new Panda we've ever seen. This one is longer, wider and taller than the car it replaces, and Fiat promises it's aimed at a younger audience. And that's why you'll see this more rounded styling, something they described as soft cube. So let's find out what it's like. So once you get into the Panda, it's a mixture of familiarity and new stuff, because anyone who's driven the old car will feel very much at home, because you've got the same sort of architecture. So you've got the same high mounted gear lever with the electric windows next to it, and a similar sort of seating position, quite high lofty seating position. But there's a lot of new style to the dash, because what they've done is Fiat's taken that sort of rounded cube idea from the exterior styling and carried it over to the interior. So the switches for the radio, the surrounds for the aircon dials, and even the dials on the dash here are all rounded squares. And that even carries over to the shape of the gear lever, the shape of the handbrake, and even the little inserts here on the steering wheel. So there's definitely a theme inside the cabin. In terms of quality, it's definitely taken a small step up from the old car. There are still a few sharp plastics, like on the edge of the gear lever and sort of lower down in the cabin, but everything feels very solidly put together, just as it did in the old car, very robust. But what's it like to drive? Well, again, it feels a little bit similar to the old car. So you've got that really likeable Panda-ness, which is that sort of very light controls. It's a complete doddle to drive around town. The visibility is really good. Steering's nice and light. All of the controls, as I say, are very light. And there's just a real charm to driving a Panda. It's very hard to put into words, but it's just very easy and charming to drive. But Fiat's tried to work on making the car a little bit more grown up on the open road. So they've strengthened the front subframe, or done some work on the suspension. And you can definitely feel there's a little bit less roll than the old car. And I'd say the ride's a bit better as well. It just feels a little bit more grown up. There's less bounce, less roll, and it's a bit more comfortable on the motorway and on flowing A roads. There's 4 engines to choose from. There's a 1.3 multi-jet diesel, plus a pair of 2-cylinder petrol multi-airs, one turbocharged, one normally aspirated. But by far the biggest selling engine in the UK is this, the one that we're testing, the 1.2 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. Now, it's carried over from the old car and it's well established, and to be honest, it really suits the Panda. It's not too noisy at motorway speeds, throttle response is relatively positive. It does get a little strained higher in the revs, but then, like everything else in this little city car, it relishes being worked hard, and you sort of forgive it that. The only thing is, it's the only engine that doesn't get stop-start. So what's the verdict on the new Panda? Well, personally, I love the looks, and crucially, from behind the wheel, it's still really charming to drive. It's very easy, light controls, and it's a great city car. But if I'm being truthful, it faces an uphill struggle to stay at the top of the class. Standard equipment isn't as good as some rivals, and rear legroom is a little cramped. But if you're after rugged, affordable, and classless transport, the Fiat Panda is still a great choice.